academe and with business. And so we can get the skills and the experience of the learning and the teaching, but the hard end of how do you actually implement it on the ground as well. So perhaps we could talk more.
Thank you. Let me answer that in two parts. In terms of medical companies that we've brought from India into the UK, there's one I'm seeing in Delhi called Advatech, which is sort of trying to, one simplification of that is sort of the Uber for private medical care. But they're using a lot of technology to remove the problems that we have with getting to hospitals and the strains that we have on healthcare. And they're making it more efficient. And why not? I mean, technology is there intended to make our lives easier and more efficient and solve big problems and reduce the cost on public services. And that's an Indian company. And you'll know, because you're from Apollo, you'll know Britain is also a world leader in medtech, in healthcare, and so on. Specifically, on your question about the social venture side and funding, the UK also happens to be a world leader on social venture capital and venture funding. And I'd probably answer that in two ways. One is we have dedicated peer-to-peer lending and venture funding funds and entities, but we also, outside of the social element, have them on for the commercial side. So if you're like me and you think actually all business is social for the reasons you mentioned, because health is wealth and wealth is health, but dedicated to social, yes, out of the UK. But more importantly, for the businesses in this room who are looking to establish a base in the UK, the traditional routes of funding and growing their businesses from the UK, whether it might be bank financing or angel investments, of which we have more angels out of the EU in the UK than any other EU country, or out of venture capital, we have the largest venture capital community in the EU than any other country, as you'd expect. Or now, more importantly, that peer-to-peer lending, the Crowdcubes, the Kickstarters, and so on, as you'd expect with a financial hub in the world, like the UK, we have that as well. So in terms of funding, both on the social and the non-social, and in medtech, and more broadly for the other businesses which are here, who are looking at that first level of funding to set up in the UK, and you'll know Indian Angel Network have also set up in the UK to help Indian origin companies to set up their bases over there. Capital, whilst in one sense it's abundant, as you'll all know, it doesn't mean that poor businesses get funded, doesn't mean bad businesses get funding, doesn't mean you don't have to be exceptional. It does mean all of that, but it does mean it's a heck of a lot easier to do business if you can get readier access to that funding. And yes, so there's a whole diverse range. And again, email me, contact me, or anybody in this room, and I'll put you in touch with those multitude of sources of finance, as will our Deputy High Commission as well. They'll have access to them as well.
May I just one other? This is I think it expresses very well about how when we bring it together, we can make great things happen. Because what we need to finance things that will work, things that we know will work and that will work in your context, not in mine, but in yours. And I'm particularly interested in working on ideas that keep people out of hospital, that we don't adopt the Western, and the answer is hospital-based care and more doctors and nurses in the hospital. When 90% of what matters is what happens outside of hospital, where we want people's bed not to be in a hospital, but to be at home. So I think there's by combining this expertise, there may be the opportunity to do something pretty special.
Thank you very much, Dr. Duncan Alpesh.
So I'll just pick up on that, just say three things, I think. One is that what Duncan just said about primary healthcare, for example, is important to us. So we've been discussing with the state government a project on primary healthcare. It's something we're continuing to work on, where we can try and come up with new models. And we're doing that in Tamil Nadu, but also different projects happening in places like Haryana. I think that's really important. Number two, one of the things I'm quite interested in is how do we leverage new CSR regulations to make sure that the CSR funding that companies, including British companies, provide is used sustainably. Because I think what we've seen is that CSR money is sometimes used really effectively and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's used for prestige projects which don't actually make a difference. So the more that we can get companies working together, the better. And I think that British companies, and we've got a lot of them, would be in the market for companies like Apollo coming with a proposal and saying this is something we think could really make a difference, could change people's lives, could prove new methodologies. And the third thing is that this isn't just about India. Increasingly we see the healthcare relationship becoming a partnership because we recognize, and UK institutions recognize, that we have as much to learn from India as India has to learn from us. And not least in terms of scale. And when you look at the challenges that the national healthcare faces in the UK, not least because of demographics, it's really important that we try and learn from what you are doing here. So I think we would certainly, there would be institutions in the UK be very interested in being a part of that project, working with you on that forward. So we'd also be very interested in hearing more.
So I should say, rather interestingly, private healthcare travel into the UK for treatment or investment into our hospitals and the like actually counts for me as an export, believe it or not. So part of my Healthcare UK organisation, which is a tripartite set up between UKTI, the Department for Health in England, and also the NHS, focuses very much on how we can open all of it up and actually learn and bring in new technology, look for new solutions, and then kind of share that out around the rest of the world. So there are bags of opportunity to work with you on that.
Thank you very much.
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, my name is Vishwanathan. Is it audible?
Shout.
Yeah, my name is Vishwanathan. I'm an entrepreneur from this very place, Chennai. So my question is to Alpesh and Ravi. I think Ravi I can meet is in Bangalore. I'm doing business across India. I'm exploring business opportunities in UK. Something what Alpesh said is very interesting because you look out for innovative ideas and thoughts and products and concepts like that. You are also saying that you want to take the companies to make it as headquarters in UK, and then from there you go to the world and so on. It was very interesting. I would like to understand this more, and I would like to meet up with you also. I also wanted to ask you, right now I'm in the process of visiting to UK, maybe in the next 10 days. So is there business tourism kind of thing UKTI is offering for Indian business entrepreneurs who wanted to go and explore the market? One is come through you and try to set up, like Ravi said, they come here and set up. Now I wanted to go and understand UK market. One visit I wanted to just go and explore what is there, what is not there. So can you please help me answer that?
I'll start with the last point first. That's why these UKTI people are here in the room, because that's part of their job, is to facilitate you to go into the UK and do your business tour to see what's there of interest. So which parts of the country are right for you? Who are the local companies that are part of your sector, your supply chain, potential partners, potential suppliers, potential customers of yours? So if you can talk to Bharat, Tammy, the team that are here, I don't know whether you've all got special badges on or something, but Tammy will point that out in a minute. We can set that up for you, absolutely. And I'll let Alpesh pick up the second.
Thank you. And I think by Ravi you meant Arun? Yeah. Actually, it's interesting because it's common for Indians in Britain to change their name to make it easier for the natives. But I've never heard Indians do that to other Indians. But no, it's Arun. On that point of how we help, in terms of practical steps and why it is, British headquarters, why would you want to set up over there beyond the reasons that I've mentioned and the kind of help we give, just in outline, but again, with anybody in the room, I'll go into far more in specific details to your own needs offline. Depending on the nature of the business, the two main issues that I'm asked is not actually where should I set up, because my colleagues at UKTI will be able to give you an amazing amount of information in terms of which would be the best locations in Britain for your business. It's not about things like accountancy and tax issues and protecting intellectual property and patents, because again, my colleagues at UKTI have got that information at their fingertips, or business visas and things such as this. Two main things I'm asked by business people more often than anything else is getting that cornerstone British customer, which will generate the revenues, the sales for them, and the profitability to justify that return on investment in the United Kingdom. That's the first thing, because you're a businessman. You've got to justify the return on investment. You've got to be able to see it. How am I going to get the money back? And what are the best strategies for that? Is the best strategy to start up in the UK, get some full-time employees, or is it to, first of all, get the customers, or try and get the customers based out of India first, and then see that, look, we've got a few clients, we want to be closer to them, we want to be more credible, we want to be able to service them, we really need a base out there to expand this because we've proven the market and so on. So those practical strategic issues, door opening to those customers. The second one is, again, it relates to money, as you'd expect. As opposed to organic growth, it is capital. And I'd probably say about 20% come to me and say, look, I've got a great proposition, I think it's investable, here's the pitch deck, here's the business proposal. Can you get us in front of the right people to get the investment into a British company? Because the people we speak to want to invest into British businesses. And then this is our plans to expand forward as well. And again, I'll look at the various businesses depending on which sector they're in and so on, and then we'll sort of work out a plan of action. I'm looking at companies which we think are going to be huge. And the reason is resources are limited. As you'd expect with any entity, we're selling sort of, let's put it this way, UK PLC. So we want to prioritize the ones which we think are going to be outstanding. We'll welcome all businesses who want to do business in the UK, but there'll be many of you in this room who are thinking, yeah, actually, I think I'm outstanding. I think the product we've got is pretty phenomenal. I think we should be looking to go global. I'd love to speak to you first and foremost. I'd love to speak to all of you, but first and foremost, those who've got that self-belief that you've got a world-class product, absolutely. And then, as I said, I won't bore the audience with sort of something going into too much technical detail, but we can, after this, talk about your specific needs on those two things, and anybody else's here, the specific needs that they have, and then put together some kind of plan of action to generate that return on investment for your shareholders. I'm going to hand it to Arun.
Sorry, could you rephrase?
No, one of the things I mentioned your name is basically you also talk about somebody comes and looks for a partnership.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am also interested to explore that. Apart from exploring UK market, I
Sure.
also wanted to explore somebody who's coming and looking for a partnership.
So see, these are typically opportunistic. What we do is we engage with companies, we get them into our database, so we have a record of who you are, what field you're in. Because when we get an inquiry from a British company or a UK-based company which is looking for a partner in a specific field, we can just go refer our database first, because these are companies that we've met, we've vetted, you know, and if we don't find a suitable partner there, then we can actually go on a manhunt to try and find a company. So we can exchange cards, you know, like I said before, our colleagues from UKTI are based here, so you know they're within arm's reach. I'm a phone call away, so we can stay in touch, and you know if there's something that comes up, we're more than happy to reach out and shake a hand.
One more question, actually, my friend wants to ask, I think I'm continuing that. In the agriculture industry, is there any specific investment that could come in? Because I'm also from the rural area, now I came into a business, different IT and other businesses. But agriculture is our base. Is there anything specific to agriculture industry that you can bring some investment here?
Yeah, we do have an agricultural business. I'm not the expert. It's not my sector. Luckily, we have an expert in the corner with a microphone. So can I suggest you try and take some time to just have a conversation with Tammy about that? But do come and ask us. I mean, we are fundamentally in the business of encouraging business between our two countries. Obviously, we're paid for by the British government, and that's because the British government sees that there's benefit for the UK economy in doing this, but there's also benefit for the Indian economy. And I fundamentally, not least because of my heritage, I see my job as being trying to find those areas of mutual prosperity, partly because, for personal reasons, I want to see India do well, but partly because the UK want to see India reach its rightful place, to reach its full economic, social, political potential. And in order to do that, trade is the way to do it. Development assistance has been proven not to take countries where they need to go. It's trade, it's commerce, which drives economies. So the more that we can create that commerce, the more I will feel that I'm doing something which is good for my country, which is the United Kingdom, but also to do something which is very good for India, which is my country of origin.
So I was going to say this at the end, but maybe I'll say it now. If you are either interested in joint ventures or if you're interested in investing in the UK, or you just want to come and talk to the UK TI team, I'm now going to embarrass my team and ask them all to put their hands up. So we are all around this room. So I've got Arun here, I've got Ashita sitting here. At the back, I've got Dipti, who does inward investment, sir, so you might want to talk to her. I've also got Vidya at the back, who deals with energy and climate change. And there are many more who are probably hiding. So I recommend either coming and talking to one of us at the end of this, or coming to our stand that's in Hall 1, so just next door.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be fair not to mention our colleague from the visa department, who's also at the back of the room, if he'd like to put his hand up.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Tommy.
Hello.
So I'll come to you. We have a few questions, so I'll take one there, and then there's one just here, and then we'll come to you.
Hello. Hello.
And there's a few seats at the front if anybody wants to come in and sit
Hello.
down.
Hello, my name is Raj Narayan. I am advisor to Water and Effluent Treatment Strategic Business Group in L&T Construction. I am advisor to L&T Construction in the Water and Effluent Treatment Group. I would like to know from Arun whether there's any possibility of any collaborations that we can do in this field on water and effluent treatment for with the UK industries.
I think that's probably more for us in the UK government, and I think the answer is absolutely there are. Ashita, can you just stick your hand up? So Ashita is just here in the corner. Perhaps we could have a conversation directly afterwards, something we'd be very happy to talk about.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
I'm Ganesh from GK Science Lab. I wish to ask that is there any special program on climate change about renewable energy, new technologies of renewable energy for venture capital funding kind of thing, angel investors?
Yeah, so absolutely. We're very interested in renewable energy. I mentioned in my intervention that we've done a lot of work on offshore wind. That's partly because of you.